Welcome to Limitless, the Blind Beginnings podcast where seeing things differently inspires limitless possibilities. This podcast is being brought to you by Blind Beginnings, an organization based in Vancouver, Canada, that supports children and youth who are blind or partially sighted, along with their families. Limitless was created in order to inform, educate, entertain, and share stories from within the blind and partially sighted community in order to show the world that the opportunities for those who are blind or partially sighted are truly limitless. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce you to your host, the Executive Director and Founder of Blind Beginnings, Shawn Marcellet.
Welcome back to Limitless, the Blind Beginnings podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Marcellet, and I'm so happy you've joined us again. I'm welcoming back to the podcast, Ishita. Welcome, Ishita.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. And our guest tonight is also joining us again, and that's Jugaad. Welcome, Jugaad.
Hello.
Hello. Why don't you guys both remind our listeners a little bit about your vision?
Sure. I have a condition called cone rod dystrophy, which primarily affects my central field of vision. So I can see general shapes and colors and large things in general. I have issues with seeing finer details.
I'm Jugaad, and I have a vision condition called Leber congenital amaurosis. And in my vision, I can distinguish light from darkness, and I can see big shapes and shadows, sometimes shadows of people, and sometimes colors, though that's rare.
So, Jugaad, you were with us last week, and but maybe not everybody was listening. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of your upbringing, where you grew up, and when you came to Canada?
So I came from India 2.5 years ago, and I lived in India for 10.5 years of my life, and now I'm 13. And that's where I kind of got the cricket craze that I will get into later. And yeah, if you're Indian, then you're a cricketer. So.
Okay, so you've given it away. We're going to be talking about cricket, which I know nothing about.
I know a little bit about it because my brother, when he was in high school, he played on his school's cricket team. It was like a thing where he would go to tournaments and he actually won gold, which was really cool. So I had seen some of his games, but I was super interested in learning about how Jugaad you played, because you mentioned that you played blind cricket. So because I always thought that it was so visual that I never thought that I'd be able to play. So that's why I kind of joined in on this podcast, because I was super curious to hear how you play, essentially.
But before we go there, so Ishita, did your brother, you guys grew up here in Canada? Mm-hmm. He played, there's actually cricket tournaments here?
Yeah, I don't know if exactly it was run by his school, if it was a school sport. I think certain organizations may arrange them. It's not nearly as big as like basketball or hockey within schools, but I do know that there was a team and they did play tournaments. So it is a thing here, but I don't think it's as common as it would be in India. So
okay. Yes. So there isn't a blind cricket team of Vancouver, but there is actually a cricket team, and they play in Stanley Park. It's like, I forgot the name. It was the Vancouver blind cricket team. The normal cricket team, not the blind cricket. But yeah, they have a good pitch where I usually go. And even in the Memorial South Park, which is just by my house, they had like a practice pitch for the visual cricket teams when they were doing practice matches for the tournament. So I usually go on the cricket pitch to play.
Okay, but we're really getting ahead of ourselves here. So tell us how you started playing cricket, Jugaad.
So when I was 3 years old, I believe, I used to, of course, play with toys, as all children do, I think. And like some people play with toy hockey games and other stuff. And what I played with was like a toy bat. So in my family, my brother, not exactly my brother, but there was a cricket craze as there is in India, and even in my school, as soon as I entered it, like in junior KG, like we have there, there was always a talk about cricket, and there's a big tournament called, which I'll go into detail later. But I had a toy bat that I once got, and by just watching that tournament called IPL, Indian Premier League. So like that was just like a TV shows. Like it was a cricket tournament. Like any person would watch NHL or NBA. We watched in India IPL, Indian Premier League, a cricket tournament between 8 teams, and a World Cup. So I used to dream of myself as a cricketer, and I used to take that toy bat and just swing it around the room, thinking I was hitting a ball. And that's just, yes, that's just how I got to know cricket. So, yeah, as soon as I learned to walk, I learned to kind of hold a bat, and that was just kind of second nature.
So I know you went to a regular school. It was not a
Yeah.
school for the blind. Were you able to play cricket at school?
That's a good question, but no, our school did not um have a blind cricket team, and they didn't have things for the blind. But the way I played cricket was mostly at my like house with my parents. So anyhow, like as I grew up, I kind of started to watch the tournaments on the TV more.
Maybe we should back up and explain what is cricket, because people
Yeah.
like me, I know there's a bat, but I don't think it's the same as a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So how do you play this game?
So first I'll talk about normal cricket, because
Mhm.
blind cricket is a little different. So normal cricket is kind of a mix between a hockey and baseball, most like baseball. So you have a bat, which is kind of like the baseball bat, but the base of it is bigger and wider. And you have a ball, of course, a season ball. It's made out of leather, and yeah, it's pretty bouncy, and you can bounce it a lot. And each team has 11 players. There are two teams, and each has 11 players. And there are three categories: a batsman, a bowler, and an all rounder. So it's pretty self explanatory. A batsman is someone who bats, which I'll tell you later about overs and how the score runs. A bowler is someone who bowls, of course, and an
What is
all rounder
what does
is
that mean, balls? Someone who balls.
like pitches, like
Okay,
pitches the
throws the
ball.
ball.
Yeah, we
Okay.
in cricket it's called like a bowler who balls. So
Okay.
yeah, um,
Self-explanatory to you, but
yeah, sorry, yeah.
and an all-rounder does
And
what?
an all-rounder pitches the ball and bats, so they are usually a lot valuable in a game. And if it's like an auction for a tournament, they get a lot of money. And
How do they decide who gets to be an all-rounder? I'm a competitive person. I think I'd want to do it all.
so it just depends on the person who's doing it. If they think that they can do batting and bowling, I mean pitching the ball, which is just called bowling in cricket, then it's not like they decide. You decide if you want to do it or not.
Oh, okay.
So 11 players, and there's a captain who positions the field. So a field is like when a bowler is bowling, a batsman is batting, the rest of the team, the 10 players of the bowling team, they kind of spread out around the field to catch the ball if the batsman hits it. Kind of like in baseball,
Mhm.
where they're on bases. So how you score runs in cricket is different than baseball a lot. So if you want 1 run, then you just run across from one end to the other end without getting hit on the wickets by another person. Wickets is where you could get out. Like, um, if a ball hits a wicket, then you're out. But if you touch the bat to the ball and run and get a 1 run, then you get a 1 run. To get 2 runs, you do it twice. To get four, you need to hit the ball to the edge of the ground, which is called a boundary line. So, like the wall around the ground, there's like a wall, and you need to hit it to the edge of the ground, to the end of it, to get 4 runs. To get a six, you need to hit it right out of the park. That's hard. a lot hard.
How many wickets are there?
There are 3 wickets, all joined together by 2 bails, which are like wooden things, cylindrical things that are put on the wickets. And so what a bowler's job is, its job is to like hit the wicket and not let the batsman hit the ball. Like that's the main job. If not, then it has to try that the batsman hits the ball and the fielder, which is like I said, the 10 people in the bowler's team, needs to catch it. And if they catch it, it's an out. That batsman's innings meaning like how many runs he scored, is done.
Okay. So Ishita, when you watched your brother play, did this make sense to you?
No. I would say I didn't know too much about cricket. I was just kind of just watching people running around and cheer when everybody else would cheer. So this is good for me too, because I'm understanding a bit more and it makes sense to me when I think back now. But yeah, because I was quite young. I was, I think, in grade 5 or 6, which I'm sure many people who are in grade 5 and 6 play cricket well. It's just I couldn't understand it because I think in my mind I did associate with, oh, it's kind of like baseball. And I can see the similarities a little bit between the two sports, but it's its own sport with its own set of rules. And if I didn't study it, I never learned it in PE or anywhere else. So I was just as confused as anyone else there who didn't know it. And yeah, so I'm really curious as how blind cricket works because a lot of it seems like it's quite visual.
Okay, so blind cricket, you have a ball that has bells in it, and it's bigger than a normal season ball. It's bigger than a tennis ball. It's kind of double that size, and it has bells in it, and it's the color white. And each team has 4 totally blind people, 3, which is called B1, like totally blind or almost totally blind. B2 is kind of, you are blind, not totally, not like a lot, but you are blind. Every team has 3 of those. And B3 is, you are partially blind. You pretty much can see everything, but you are a little bit blind. Every team has 4 of those. Now you might be thinking it's kind of unfair that um, there are 4 people who are like mostly sighted and they will get more runs and all that. But there's an advantage to the people who are totally blind, that if they hit a 6, they're going to get 12 runs, a double the score to make up for their blindness. If they hit 4 runs, then they are going to get 8 on that ball, which the other 2 categories do not get that advantage.
I read that the wickets are different in blind cricket.
Yeah, the wickets are metallic. No, not metallic. They're made of steel and they're higher, like they're taller, and just so it kind of makes a loud clank when the ball hits it. And there's also a wicket keeper that stands behind the wickets who claps loudly so the bowler knows where to hit the ball.
So when the baller throws the ball at the batter is trying to hit the wicket?
Hit the ball.
Hit the ball, but get the ball to hit the wicket?
Hit the ball. Like
Don't laugh at me. I don't understand.
Sorry. He hits the ball, like tries to hit it as far as possible, like hit it out of the park like baseball. Like
Okay, so is the wicket like the pitching mound where they're trying to throw the ball back to the wicket to get the person out?
The wicket is right behind the batsman. So if the batsman misses the ball when trying to hit, the ball hits the wicket because it's right behind the batsman and the batsman is out.
Okay, right.
Their innings is over, done.
Okay, but once the batter hits the ball, it goes out into the field. The fielder people
try to stop it or catch
and they throw it back to the wicket to get the person out, like in baseball.
They just need to stop or catch it. They don't need to hit it.
They don't need to hit the wicket. Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of, and in cricket, like there are overs, which means that when a bowler bowls six balls or pitches six balls, that's 1 over. That's kind of so there are formats in cricket like T20, that means like a 20-over game. So for 20 overs, that means like 120 balls, one team will bat. And after that, for 20 overs, the other team will bat. And say the first team scored like, let me tell you the average, 160 runs in 20 overs. That's kind of the average that a cricket team scores.
So how long is the average cricket game?
For 20 overs, it's 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay.
For 50 overs, it's 8 hours and 5 minutes.
8 hours.
But for the test match, it's 8 hours every day for 5 days.
What? How do they have time to play an 8-hour game? That's a whole day. Like who are the people spectating? Do they not have jobs? How do they?
That's the job, cricket.
Well, no, I get it for the players. I mean, the people who are watching, they like take a day off work so they can watch a cricket match.
It's mostly in the evening, except when it's a 50-over match, then you don't exactly get the time. So you need to like kind of do it in the afternoon from 1 to say 9.
Wow.
Afternoon 1 to night 9. When it's a test match, the most famous is the test match. Like there was a poll in cricket in which they were voting for which is the best format, and 50% out of the 100 said test match was their favorite, where they have like 8 hours of cricket for 5 days.
Okay, but like, do they take breaks for dinner?
Oh yeah, in a
Like-
test match they take a lunch, a lunch break, and a tea break.
Okay, that's
They will
interesting.
do it like that. So they play for like 2.5 hours and then a lunch break, then 2.5 hours a tea break, and then yeah,
Right.
2 hours.
So you said you used to play with your family. Like, how did you even really learn the game when you weren't really able to play it on a team kind of as it's played? How did they teach you how to play cricket?
I mean, okay, so when I was younger, I had better vision than what I have now. So that kind of helped a little bit, having better vision, so I could see the players in the TV.
Right.
So I kind of knew how a bat is held in a hand, but otherwise my family like said like you hold a bat like this. Then I like watched the matches and kind of looked at what the commentators spoke about.
Did you ever get a chance to play blind cricket when you were in India?
No, like blind cricket. Although I got the ball from India, you can't get that from Canada. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot less for cricket, and especially for blind cricket. Like that's over.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go to a blind cricket tournament when you were in India?
I wish. No.
Okay. So that's something you'd like to do at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I guess like one thing is, how did you come across blind cricket? So if you learned from your family like the regular cricket, and I'm assuming a lot of your friends probably played cricket like the traditional way, how did you come across blind cricket?
Yeah, so that's a good question. When I was 8.5 years old, and I just knew about normal cricket, and I always kind of not exactly wanted to be a cricketer, because that was like, sometimes you have like a sidelong passion that say that you want to play a guitar, but you don't want to be an actual musician who just works on a guitar, just like a side-on passion.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what cricket was for me. Like it was like a side-on passion that when I'm older I want to play it with not as my work, but in my mind I always kind of had a nagging feeling that how will I actually play if I cannot see the ball, because my vision was getting lower and lower. And so there's an organization in Mumbai called NAB, National Institute for the Blind, which supplied some equipment for blindness. of course you had to pay for everything. Nothing was free. Like in in that, like if you needed a brailer, you need to pay like 30,000 rupees. Um, and that, but one of the people in NAB told me that, have you ever seen a blind cricket ball? I was like, no, I haven't ever seen it. Like they used to send a person every 2 or 3 weeks to supposedly like train me in vision and stuff, but I don't know about that because they weren't that consistent, and it's hardly like fair to have like a vision teacher every 3 weeks once
Mm-hmm.
who kind of, and I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a phone, neither a braille or anything. But yeah, so this was just a conversation that just happened one day when I was like, just after watching cricket match, I was like, I wish I could play blind cricket, and he was like, there is a ball if you want to buy one. I was, yeah, so I was pretty excited. I purchased the ball and I tried it out, and it worked. It was just like a hockey puck with bells in it, a normal ball with bells in it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
It's interesting.
so
Yeah. So for those of you listening at home, 30,000 rupees is about 495 Canadian dollars. I may or may not have searched that up. But just in case, like I know that was like a number that people may be like, what? That's how much Jugaad was saying that a brailer would cost someone if they were looking to buy one. So
Okay, so you came to Canada, you realized cricket's not much of a thing here. How did you find a place to play?
in the Memorial South Park, in the park actually we have a cricket pitch which is just made for cricket, and where the Vancouver team for the visual cricket used to play. It's
Mm.
not it's not played there now, but it's an official cricket pitch, 22 yards long and everything. So I was pretty disappointed, to be honest, like when I came here, that there was everything, but the thing that I liked so much was not here. So
Mhm.
even like games like the IPL that I watched on TV, now more like listening to the commentary than actually watching it. But just the fun, even watching it on TV, like the fun of it. And some people might think that just listening to the commentary is nothing if it's visual cricket, but it's like the cheering that you hear in the stadium, the feel that you get when you listening to the TV and the commentators like, they won the World Cup, ecstasy, and that kind of thing. That's just like on another level. I don't know how to describe that, but when I came here, I found a way of watching the IPL. Luckily, it was on one of the TV channels. We had to subscribe to it, and in India, it used to be in the evening. I used to watch the games in the evening, but here, when I came here, I had to watch it in the morning. Now, the problem with that was I could only watch for an hour because the rest of the 3 hours I had to be in school.
Mhm.
And that was disappointing. And but yeah, couldn't help it. Anyway, for a while when I came to Canada, I did not play cricket, but then I thought that even though Canada does not have cricket, and it does not, I have a cricket ball, I have a cricket bat, I can still play. And other people who come by, they can see, and they can, if they want, they can learn. But I can at least like carry out some cricketing in Canada as well. Even though no one plays it here, I'll play it if no one else wants to play it. I'll play with my family if no one else wants to play, because that's just my game. If anyone wants, if maybe someone might actually watch it from far or learn about it and anything, but why should I stop playing cricket if it does not have a much of a scope in Vancouver? I
Mhm.
should keep on.
Has
So yeah,
anybody ever joined you while you were playing?
yeah, once or twice.
Oh,
So,
cool.
so once someone came and they said, "Is that cricket?" And we were like, "Yeah, do you know about it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I used to play it when I was in India when 25 years ago, and I've never seen anyone play here." So he joined us once, and we also found one person who was from England, I believe, and he used to be the sided guide for the blind cricketers. in the blind cricket team of England.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we talked to him about it, and then and once there were like 2-3 people watching from far, listening to my commentary as I played. But that's yeah. So yeah,
So there's sighted guides in blind cricket?
yes.
Oh, how
So
does that work?
when I said that you have to take like 1 run or 2 runs by running from one end of the pitch to the other end, you need to run with a sighted guide, a blind person,
Oh,
so they don't fall over the wickets or they don't just crash into another fielder while running
right.
or hit them with the bat. Or it could go to any number of injuries, but you need a sighted guide for that.
Mm.
Okay. I was gonna ask because I was kind of curious when I played softball in my school. I had someone who would tell me when to hit and when like where to run. Just because I couldn't see much of it, so I was curious if the teammates would help you because you did mention that some of them are more sighted. If that was allowed, or if there was a guide. So I was actually just going to ask that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, so you play for 20 overs or 50 overs. Like I was saying, in formats, you got another person of the team cannot help you if you are like batting. There has to be 2 people batting. 2 people because if one is batting and it takes a run. So I'll give you an example. Like Ishita is on point A of the pitch and Shawn is on B. When Ishita is batting, she needs to take 1 run, so she'll run from right side of the pitch to the left. And at the same time, Shawn needs to run from the left to the right. And
Ah,
when Ishita reaches the left, Shawn reaches the right. That's when you get 1 run. So Shawn needs to bat now because she's on strike. Strike meaning she's now on the business end of the pitch.
okay.
Oh, John, we're killing it. We're killing it.
And
You knew
it's
where to
not
play.
like a circle like baseball. It's just back and forth that you're running.
It's a rectangle pitch and you need to run from one end to the other. If Ishita ran to the left, you ran to the right, and you ran again to the left, and Ishita ran to the right, that's 2 runs. So Ishita's back on the focus then.
So I'm the other person has to be keeping track of whether that ball
Yeah.
has been caught or not.
That's very important because otherwise you would get run out. So what usually happens is the 2 people who are batting, if they are not like if they don't know each other, then one might say yes, take a run. The other's like no, don't take. Then they keep running and they kind of lose focus of each other, and the fielder can just go and hit one of the wickets, either the right persons or the left persons, and just get them out. That's called a run out.
And if one's out, they're both out?
No, one is out then.
Oh, okay.
But it's happened a lot that because of one person, the other person can get out. That's the run out is kind of a little bit insulting way of getting out. It's just not considered that good for a captain of a team to get run out. It's just like, don't you know even your teammates?
Sounds complicated.
I'm assuming if you play it, it may be a bit easier to understand. I think for like anything, being able to see it and being able to like physically do it may be a bit easier, Shawn. Just so like maybe we should try it one day.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's kind of a little bit like I'm trying to make it not sound this complicated, but at the same time, I know it is sounding, but that's like for every game, it sounds complicated, but when you play it, cricketers, the bowlers, the pitchers, they're called bowlers, as I said, they ball pretty fast. Like there were 2 types of bowlers, a fast bowler and a spin bowler. The fast bowler pitches the ball very fast. Like he runs and pitches the ball at like a speed of 150 kilometers per hour. And a spinner, just like by the name, it spin. If the pitch is kind of dry and has a turn on it, spins the ball.
What do you love about cricket?
Everything.
Everything.
See, my favorite format is T20. It's not too long. It has its own suspense of 4 hours is still long if you're like watching hockey because that's only 1.5 hours. But yeah, in cricket, games are pretty close usually because I've watched like 4 or 5 super overs when the game gets tied. and at the last ball you need 1 run, and then you just play a 1 over game to kind of get rid of that tie.
So when you go to play with your family, I'm assuming somebody's throwing the ball, you're trying to hit it, and then does
Yeah,
somebody guide you? Do you do the runs too, or is it just like batting practice?
I kind of know my way around the pitch, like mostly like I know how to dodge the wickets, like yeah, so I can run on my own. And yeah,
Is there a particular position that you like to play, or you kind of just like all of them?
I'm an all-rounder. I like
Huh.
batting more than bowling, just because the satisfaction that you get hitting the ball out of the park, and yeah. But yeah, I like batting more, and on the position I like finishing the game more, just because I don't know, you get a full license to hit like a lot of big hits rather than needing to like take 1 runs or 2 runs because you need to end the game. And yeah, it's more suspenseful. Yeah, finishing number 6 or number 7.
I'm going to switch direction a little bit, but even though I guess what I'm curious about is, we don't really play cricket here. There isn't the same opportunities to watch it as there is in India. Are you happy being in Canada, or do the pros outweigh the cons? Like, is there enough good stuff to make up for the fact that there's no cricket?
Yeah, there is good stuff. Like I said, playing cricket is a huge not playing it, like having it is a huge disappointment. But it's not like I'm going to leave Canada because of cricket.
Right. Okay, good. We have some other good things then. Well, if anybody's listening and you live in Vancouver, Canada, you want to play cricket, get in touch with us. Limitless at blindbeginnings.ca, and we'll connect you with Jugaad and maybe start a team or something.
Awesome. I really like that mentality of, if it's not available, that doesn't mean you can't play it. Create your own thing, or also just even practice it in whatever way you can. I think that's really awesome.
I love that you've been out there playing and people have just joined you. I think that's really cool. Well, thank you, Jugaad, for joining us and telling us all about cricket. I think I have a better idea than I did before we started the conversation. I hope that I get to watch a cricket game someday, because I think seeing it in action would help a lot. But I really appreciate you sharing your passion with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
And thanks, Ishita, for joining me tonight.
No problem. I really loved this episode. I got to learn a lot as well, and it was really interesting talking to you, Jugaad.
You've been listening to Limitless, the Blind Beginnings podcast. If you have a question, a comment, a request for a future topic, please send us an email to limitless@blindbeginnings.ca. Share our podcast with a friend, like or leave a rating or comment, and please join us next time.
This podcast has been brought to you by Blind Beginnings, an organization based in Vancouver, Canada, that supports children and youth who are blind or partially sighted, along with their families. Music for this podcast is composed by Shawn Bishop and Clement Chow. Production and audio editing by Rob Minot. For more information about Blind Beginnings and the work it does to support children and youth who are blind and partially sighted, along with their families, visit us on the web at www.blindbeginnings.ca, and also remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.